Hello, it's Weekend Handicapper from weekendhandicapper.com. In this video, I'm going to share a personal story with you and hopefully a lesson that goes along with it and helps you prevent making this mistake when betting the Preakness or any other race for that matter. So before I get going though, if you want to learn how to bet on horses, how to make money betting on horses, I'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button, that notification bell so you can get all the latest tips, tools, and resources from the Weekend Handicapper and weekendhandicapper.com to help you win money on thoroughbred horse races. All right. So it was May of 2011. The horse Animal Kingdom just won the Kentucky Derby, and it was going to try to go for the Triple Crown, which next in line was the Preakness a couple weeks later. But I was going to try, like always, I was going to try to beat the favorite, Animal Kingdom, and I liked two horses. One was Mucho Macho Man, and the other was a horse called Shackleford. And I really liked Shackleford. Well, I kind of like them even, but Shackleford was a pretty nice price, good odds. And I thought, so horses that do well in the Preakness, in my opinion, like to be near the front or a little bit off the pace. And Shackleford preferred running style was in fact that kind of style. So I was fully prepared to bet those two horses to win and throw in those horses in some exotics. So I had some exactas with Shackleford, with Animal Kingdom, Shackleford and Mucho Macho Man in Animal Kingdom, because I didn't want to get beat, left out of at least the exacta by Animal Kingdom, the favorite. So that's how I was going to bet it. So I went to a party. That's where I watched the Preakness. We got a Preak on, and I was putting my bets in, and then here's what happened. In the post parade, which for those that are new to horse racing is how they're warming up right before they enter the starting gate and race, Shackleford looked warm. It was sweating. It's getting what they call washed out, in my opinion. Looked very sweaty and lathered up. And typically that's not a good sign. If you're a big proponent of body language in horses, that usually means they're stressed. They're not maybe focused. They're a little bit agitated, and they're not calm and focused. So if you're a big proponent of body language, that's usually a big negative. That's a no-no when you're looking at horses right before they race. If they're sweating or washing out, you'll see like a little white lather build up on them, usually right below their neck or right along the neck area. Matter of fact, sometimes you see jockeys take their whip and kind of scrape it off like you would a car windshield, cleaning your car windshield off with a squeegee. So I was looking at that, even though I had a couple drinks and the party was going on stuff, money was on the line, and I was still paying attention, pretty close attention to the race, because I wanted to win. I wanted to win some money. And the volume was up enough. I hate that it was, because that factored in, that the commentators, even the commentators were, and I'll put a link in the description below that shows you the race, what I'm talking about. Even the commentators were commenting on Shackleford didn't look right and looked like he was washed out. He just looked not ready to race. And so even the commentators that day were making comments as the horse was circling around right before they got in the gate. And I was like, oh my gosh, this horse doesn't look good at all. It doesn't look like it's ready to run. It's got the huge red flag of being washed out and sweating profusely. That's usually a huge negative if you're a big believer in body language, horses' body language. So I went on my wagering account and canceled any bet that had anything to do with Shackleford. So I canceled the win bet, canceled the exactas that my bets included Shackleford. So they get in the gate, and then usually as soon as you hit that cancel button, and those that might play this game enough probably can empathize with what I'm saying. As soon as you hit that cancel button, you always second guess yourself, you know? So I did. They entered the gate. Shackelford and another horse, I forget the name of it, Flashpoint maybe, something like that, got out to an early lead. Shackelford those two were in front. I was still, look, one hand I was like, yep, this is exactly what the past performances said was going to happen. These two horses were going to be out front. This is where you want Shackelford. If you're a Shackelford fan, we're betting on the horse. But maybe it had too much energy. That's why I was sweating. Maybe it wasn't calm, and it's going to wear itself out. But it didn't. Shackelford held off Animal Kingdom down the stretch, who was coming pretty good. But still, Shackelford was the best horse that day, and it paid $27 for $2. And then the exacta with Animal Kingdom paid, I think, $114 for $2. Needless to say, that wasn't a fun party. I was a party pooper, and I try not to be too much of a party pooper, but if I would have stuck to my guns, would have bet Shackelford anyway. Look, I don't look pretty every day. I don't look pretty most days. Some days I look better than others. Same way with horses. And here's the point. Don't let anybody talk you off a horse that you like, that on paper looks like it's going to be a contender, especially at the right odds. And that's another key thing I want to get across. If Shackelford was 9-5 or paid $5, canceling the wager is one thing, and missing out on an exacta with a 9-5 horse in Animal Kingdom, the favorite, missing out on that exacta is one thing. But canceling your wager on a $27 horse that links up with the favorite and pays $114 for $2 for an exacta is a whole nother ball game. I would much rather be wrong about my body language analysis and could care less with what about so-called experts, TV commentators say about whether a horse is ready to run or not based on their body language. If it's paying $27 for $2, they could be right on the favorite. And, you know, sometimes that's good to try to bet against the favorite. But to throw a horse out just because it's sweating a little bit and lathered up, throw a horse out that pays $27, and that's a key point, okay? When you're going to throw a horse out based on their looks and their body language, you think twice about throwing a horse out that on paper looks like it has a chance at pretty good odds that's going to pay something. Think twice about that. Because I would have been out, you know, the small percentage of my bankroll, but the risk versus reward, canceling the bet, I have no shot. No shot. Why would I do that? And I haven't done that since. That horse can look like it just got out of a bubble bath. And if I think it's paying, or if the odds are paying pretty good, and if I think that horse has a chance, because on paper, everything, all the data is lining up, post position, track bias, running style, how it's been working out. If it's at decent odds, there's no way I'm going to cancel it just because it's not looking its best on a certain day, and especially on a big day like that. So in hindsight, I regret canceling the bet on Shackelford because, one, my handicapping mind, my handicapping experience, and all I've read in books and learned about body language over the years told me that horse doesn't look ready to race. I'm going to cancel the bet. And two, hearing those commentators, I love you, Tom Hammond. I love you, Gary Stevens. You're probably one of my favorite jockeys of all time. Probably is my favorite jockey of all time. But I think that's who the commentators were. And I heard them say the horse doesn't look its best or something like that. And that, all I needed was the confirmation from somebody else to cancel my bet and save, what? I can't remember, 30 something bucks, to win on the horse and probably, another 50 in exactas. If I would have not canceled that bet, that reward was going to be a lot better than that risk. So that's what I want to get across. No matter when you bet this year's Preakness or any race, really, if that horse is at good odds and if you did your handicap and you feel confident about that horse on paper and how the race is going to set up for it, do not hit cancel or do not stop. If you're at the track, do not stop yourself from going up to the window and taking a shot. Just because it doesn't look its best doesn't mean it's not going to perform well. It could, but we can always make excuses for why our horses lose. We can always, if it makes you feel better, you can always find an excuse for why a horse lost. Usually the jockey gets most of the blame, which is nonsense for the most part. But you can always find an excuse why a horse lost, and you can always feel like you're king of the world and say this is the reason a horse won, when in fact, it's a multitude of factors whether or not a horse wins or loses. Okay, so if you're betting the Preakness, if you're betting any race, if your horse is at a really good price like Shackelford was for me in 2011, paying $27, think long and hard about canceling that bet or not betting on that horse just because it might not look ideal, like an ideal equine athlete should. Okay? So hopefully that will help you out. Do not be afraid or get thrown off a horse based on, one, how the horse looks, two, the so-called experts and television commentators. You should stick to your guns. You did the handicapping. You have your opinions. Back them up if you're confident in the horse. And live and die. Well, that's a little bit extreme. Right or wrong, you're going to have to deal with your decisions. And that's the beautiful thing. In horse racing, when you're right, you get compensated for making good decisions. That's why I love it. One of the reasons I love it. All right, so hopefully this video's been helpful. Hopefully you can learn from my mistakes and from my experience, both good and bad, in this handicapping and this betting on horses game, thoroughbred horse racing. All right, speaking of that, if you like this video, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you want more videos to show you how to bet on horses, how to make money betting on horses. And until next time, I'm the Weekend Handicapper from weekendhandicapper.com. Happy handicapping and smart wagering.